Welcome back to a very special episode. In this video, we are going to be cutting into these. This is gonna be an expensive video. The reason for this video is I did promise that at 200 likes on this video, we would cut them in half.
I would just be curious about the internals. If I can get 200 likes on this video, I will cut a Lucky Craft in half, and I will cut the Calissa in half too, just to see what the internals are like. So if you guys want to see a video cutting them in half, we need 200 likes.
But before we do, it is actually time to address something. Yes, this channel is now partnered with Calissa, but not without backlash. There's talk from Lucky Craft enthusiasts and groups saying Calissa is unethical, you're just trying to make a quick buck, this and that, whatever. But it's definitely time to address this. So, while we cut through these, let's go through a timeline, shall we? Because the timeline really speaks for itself, and it really addresses all the negative feedback. And actually, the people who've been following for a long time already know this story if they've been watching the videos, which would be really interesting. Go ahead and leave it in the comments how long you've been following this channel. It'd be really interesting to see. In order to do this best, we need to go over the events in chronological order while we cut into both of these lures to compare. Hopefully, by doing this, you'll understand why we are doing what we're doing at this point with Calissa. Now that you understand what the video is about, let's get to cutting. So these are both unopened. Let's go ahead and open these up. Actually, let's inspect them a little bit. From the previous videos, you already know the hooks are different, the split rings are a bit different. The color is actually a bit different. So this is the Lucky Craft Super Glow Sardine. This is the Sardine Glow from Calissa. Just to give you a quick rundown if you're not familiar, the Calissa has a bit more ridges, if you guys can see that. A bit more ridging on the body itself, and the Lucky Craft is a bit more smooth. And then on the Lucky Craft, there's actually a bit of green, like a green flake slash pearl on the top, and then that does not exist on the Calissa. And the eyes are a little different. The eyes are a little closer together on the Calissa. Another thing that you'll notice is the bills. The bill on the Lucky Craft is oversprayed right here. You can see that. And then on the Calissa, it's really clean around the bill. So right where the bill starts, there's no paint on that. But where the bill starts on the Lucky Craft, there's paint actually on the bill. But to cut them in half, we don't need the hooks. And the hooks on the Calissa are a bit more of a nickel finish, while the Lucky Craft is more of a chrome finish. So let's pull these off. Get some split ring pliers. Yeah, let's go ahead and take off the nose piece. Done. Naked. Let's start with the Lucky Craft. Okay, so again, if you are new to this channel, then you are in for a treat. You're gonna get filled in on what happened from November until now. That's November of 2018. To get us to the point where we're actually working with Calissa. So November 24th was the first surf perch fishing video. I grew up doing surf perch fishing with my dad, and just being able to throw lures and that idea to catch them in the surf was very exciting, and definitely had to give it a shot, especially since everybody else was catching them on Lucky Crafts. It was definitely time to try it out myself. So right before Thanksgiving, I ran out and did some fishing with the exact color that we're talking about right now, which is this Super Glow Sardine. So that was in November. After that video, basically a lot of surf perch fishing had to happen, especially throwing the Lucky Craft Super Glow Sardine. And we actually followed that video up with a really good breakout video which to date has 14,000 views on one version of it, and it's the Monster Winter Perch Bite, which is a really good video if you haven't checked it out. But I threw the Lucky Craft Super Glow Sardine on that one. We did a few more videos there, and then we ended up catching a striped bass out of Monterey in the surf March 29th, which was really cool. And again, that was the Super Glow Sardine. And around March of 2019, we started seeing a decline in Super Glow sardines. They started to get sold out everywhere. In April 28th, I ended up catching a halibut from the surf, and that was on the Super Glow sardine as well. And in April of 2019, the Lucky Craft Super Glow sardines started to get really hard to find. They were back ordered at Tackle Warehouse. Even on Amazon and eBay, they were on back order. Every color was available except the Super Glow sardine. We kept on putting out more videos using this lure that we are actually able to get. And May 1st, we actually had that lights out bite. And the end of May 2019 was spectacular for that bite. But about end of May, we started looking at making our own type of alternative to the Super Glow sardine. One, because they were becoming so rare and hard to find, and then two is just, gosh, you know, there should be an alternative to having to pay $20 to $22 for a lure just because it's rare and just because it's the only thing that's really producing. So we started throwing the Duo Realis. We really got fed up of waiting for these orders to come in and be able to buy these ourselves. And since they were rare, again, people were charging 22 bucks for a lure, and you know, they still are. These lures right now, as we film this video, this is currently end of January 2020, and these lures are still on back order on Tackle Warehouse. And what happens in Tackle Warehouse is the back order keeps on getting pushed back every single month. So, you know, think about that. It's really time to break up that monopoly. And then in June, Mario ends up catching his halibut, but in that same video, I ended up losing my very last Super Glow sardine. It was super sad, and yeah, just check it out.
No! I lost my Lucky Craft. Ouch! Oh, my last glow sardine is gone, and that's the one that I've had epic memories with. Here's a morning compilation of that bait. May it rest in peace at the bottom of the ocean. Oh yes! Look at that! Yes! On the surf. Oh my gosh, it made it so worth it, guys. There, the hook, and plus the lure swung to his side. Wow. That's a piece of the hook right there.
So that montage was made simply because that lure was so hard to find. It was my last one, and it was just the saddest thing in the world. Then come June, we actually had our very first meet and greet, and Frank Mancha gave me a Super Glow sardine, which at that point was impossible to get, literally. And then towards the end of June, we started working with a company that kind of hand paints lures, and we tried going that route, but it just didn't make sense logistically for such a small operation to fulfill orders of all the people who watch who would have wanted one. But again, we just weren't gonna sit and wait until those back orders were filled. It was an extreme drought. It was probably 8 or 9 months before we ended up seeing more shipments of the Super Glow sardine hit shelves, both on eBay, Amazon, and even tacklewarehouse.com. Now check this out. August 27th, 2019, we sent an email to Lucky Craft. You can go onto their website and find their email, which is info@luckycraft.com. We wrote this long email about how, you know, we might want to work with the company, and also that the Super Glow, by the way, Super Glow sardines are out everywhere. Is there anything that we can do? And also talked about how the channel's growing and how we're really throwing the Lucky Craft a lot. And guess what? That email was ignored. No response, nothing, not even a thank you for throwing our bait, not even a thank you for promoting our bait, or thank you for just being a customer, for buying all these lures. You know, nothing. And that was a little discouraging. You know, even if they were to respond later, at least some sort of response would have been good. It would have been, you know, awesome customer service. We were desperately trying to find an alternative. And we were trying to find an alternative for 5 or 6 months, you know? So when Ray Simpaco said, hey, Edward, Amazon has this lure for less money. It's about 15 or 16 bucks. And it looks promising. It might be a good alternative to throwing the Lucky Craft. And it's on Amazon. Come September 24th, we ended up getting it in the mail and doing our very first review on the Calissa. At that point, it's the 110. And we threw it, and the conditions were terrible here in our area. So we really didn't catch anything. We didn't really get a good feel for the bait. But what was crazy is that Calissa actually reached out to us on Instagram after seeing that very first video. They said, hey, you know, good job. Thank you for being non-biased and just saying things how they were. And that was pretty awesome to actually get some sort of response. So the dialogue continued. And then they ended up sending every single color that they made for free, and just to try out. So of course, being here on YouTube, we wanted to continue to document this experience. So we end up using the lure. We even got some really cool underwater footage to compare the two. We made that video where I promised that if I get 200 likes on the video, we would cut them in half, which we're doing right now. And so again, they sent us these lures and we continued to use them, but the dialogue continued to happen on Instagram, the private messages, and it's really cool. Again, just the responses that they were giving and all of that, they're very responsive. And with those conversations, it led to October 11th. October 11th, we actually got the ball rolling on making the color that we've been wanting for 6 to 8 months, and it was spectacular. So we ended up telling Calissa, hey, you know what color would be a really good color? It would be a glow pattern, it would be a sardine, check it out. And after I got back from my honeymoon, they were at the doorstep, and we just started to fish it. The conditions turned around, and we started catching a lot of fish. We would catch limits on the Calissa, and it's just awesome. We've just been killing it on the Calissa. And then after that, we just said, hey, you know what? This would be a good partnership. And what we ended up doing, which you could still take advantage of now, is if you buy a Calissa from the Calissa website and use the coupon code HOOK2COOK, you get 10% off. So it's like, okay, cool. Well, our viewers get 10% off. It's already cheaper than the Lucky Craft, and it also supports the channel. So it's a win-win-win situation. It's a win for the viewers, it's a win for the channel, and it's also a win for Calissa, right? So, gosh, it's a no-brainer. One thing that I already noticed is the paint is so thick. I'm hitting it with this Dremel, and I'm just scratching the surface and the paint is just so thick, that glow paint. And the reason I stopped is because when I started hitting it with this, that glow started to glow right there. I don't know if I'll be able to capture it on camera, but when the Dremel hits it, it actually glows. That paint is on thick. Wow. That's a fascinating observation. That is some thick paint. Aha! So here's a difference. Here's a difference. On the Lucky Craft, in the head there was glass beads, like 3 glass beads, I believe. Let's count them. Yep, 3 glass beads and 1 metal bead in the Lucky Craft. And in the Calissa, there are just 2 metal beads. So those are the 2 metal beads that came out of the head of the Calissa. Trip out. Okay, so that's a difference. So we'll put the metal beads back in. So 2 metal beads inside the Calissa, and it looks like it has the same sort of weight here. But I guess if we take a closer look, it does look like the Calissa is a bit thicker when it comes to the plastic. I wish I had a micrometer so that we can actually measure this, but looking at it, I'll post pictures for you so that you guys can see. But looks like the Calissa has the same metal ball near the chest of the bait, and then it also has that sliding weight system that the Lucky Craft has. But I think cutting it changed how it actually works, but it's very, very similar. So again, the difference is between the interior is mainly the head of the Lucky Craft up here has glass beads with 1 metal bead, and then the Calissa only has 2 metal beads up in the head. But other than that, they each have a counterweight right here towards the middle of the bait, and then they also have this metal ball in the chest. And then they each have the sliding transfer weight system. That's fascinating, but it does seem like the Calissa has thicker plastic and thicker paint. When you look at how the paint came off of the Calissa versus how the paint came off on the Lucky Craft, the Calissa has thicker paint and it looks like thicker plastic. But other than that, the internals are very similar other than in the head. After further inspection, I actually have one of these. This is the Sexy Geisha, and this one actually has 2 metal beads and 3 glass beads in it in the head. You know what? Maybe that is why a few people have been saying that the Calissa casts a little bit farther. Maybe because this is actually head heavy compared to the Calissa. The Calissa only has 2 beads and there are 2 metal beads in the head, and it looks like the Lucky Craft has 5 beads total in the head, 3 glass and 2 metal. So maybe in the Super Glow Sardine one that I just cut, maybe I lost a few beads in the process. But you can see here, those are the glass beads. So there's, again, 3 glass beads and 2 metal beads in the head of the Lucky Craft. But in the end, they both work, and some say, duh, you know, it should work. It's a clone. Well, yeah, but why pay more, right? Why pay more for one if they both work? At the end of the day, we were content throwing the Lucky Craft. We tried getting the Super Glow sardines in the Lucky Craft. We even contacted Lucky Craft to try to get the Super Glow. But when they couldn't meet the demands, you know, capitalism takes its course. But for now, we are very, very happy. And for those who are super diehard Lucky Craft, you guys should be happy too. One reason is competition. Competition should drive the prices down. That alone should make a lot of people happy. Saving a few bucks here or there could mean a lot for some people. And then also, another reason you should be happy if you support Lucky Craft and that if you're diehard Lucky Craft is because the people who end up buying the Calissa sardine glow aren't gonna buy the Lucky Craft, so there's gonna be more for you to buy. So be happy there. At the end of the day, the message is live and let live. Do your own thing, enjoy, but make the decisions that are right for you.